なあるとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。バーチャルプローズ。Boy, you should know that I had you on my mind, secret admirer. I've been watching you. Should I swing my way? Sure look good to me. Now would you please swing my way? Should I swing my way?
Episode 11 of the world-famous Virtual Pros podcast. My name is Al, a.k.a. Mr. Tuesday Night, the whole effing podcast, Fob Van Dam, a.k.a. Henny Omega, a.k.a. Flocka Michinoku, a.k.a. the Todokan Zan. And with me is my main oos, the BK legend, Mike.
Hey, I'm Mike, a.k.a. Crack Saber Jr., a.k.a. Wavy Boy Smith, a.k.a. Hacksaw Butch Weed.
Today's episode, we're going to be talking about NXT and hip-hop, which rappers are which wrestlers, and vice versa. You can hit us on Twitter at VRTLPros. Follow us, RT our shit. It'd be much appreciated. You can also add us on Instagram now. I mean, Mike and I have been posting some 100% A1 fire on there. If you like sneakers, if you like weird wrestling merchandise, if you like all kinds of just, I don't know, rarities, follow us and, like our shit. Also hit us up on
VRTL Pros.
Yes.
VRTL Pros.
VRTL Pros. Same as our Twitter. And then, hit us up on our SoundCloud, Virtual Pros, and hit us up on our iTunes and subscribe. I saw you guys actually hitting that like button on SoundCloud. It made me really happy. So, keep on doing what you're doing. Up first, as always. Well, actually, I wanted to shout people out first, honestly. I mean, we've been 10 episodes in and, we wouldn't have, the support that we, have gotten so far without guys like Freem, O'Day, Ryan from Gully Blanchard. If you like wrestling podcasts, check his shit out. Definitely Adam. Shout out to Adam. That dude's the man. And, Dante. I see you guys. And, it's always much appreciated that you guys tune in and listen every week. Or every other week, I guess.
And, Tyrus, aka Brodie Clay.
A.K.A. Brodie Clay.
Our Instagram.
Brodie Clay out here at 3 a.m. just liking Kimono Wanalea videos on Instagram. It's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah.
But I might just blown his shit up. Anyway.
I don't think he listens. He just knows it's an Instagram. Brodie, if you're listening, or Tyrus, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry to blow your shit up about liking Kimono Wanalea videos at 3 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, to start off our episode, we're going to read some emails that we were supposed to get to last week, but I forgot because I think I was getting too wavy. Listener Doan, he wrote in, my hierarchy is probably like this. Number 1, late registration. Number 2, college dropout. 3, graduation. 4, my beautiful dark twisted fantasy. 5, Yeezus. 6, the last of Pablo. And 7, 808s and heartbreak. I feel it's unfair. I still gotta listen to TLOP 10 more times before I get it. I was going to start talking about how, like Mike, I have a sentimental connection to those first 2 albums, but I just have all these albums. They all have a good amount of hits on them, except 808. Also, does Kanye get a pass for having a good amount of forgettable filler songs? Or is that just the curse of having hits so strong? Signed, Doan. Not to get too into it, but my favorite Kanye album is Late Reg, followed by College Dropout. We're kind of on the same wavelength, because I have 808 last, but where are you at, Mike, with this power list of Kanye albums?
I think mine matches up with Doan's pretty good. 808's definitely last. College Dropout and Late Registration are kind of a toss up for 1 and 2, and then graduation, and then then it gets a little foggy. I do kind of like the songs on Yeezus that I like a lot, so that counts for something. There's only like a handful that I like a lot.
What'd you think of Life of Pablo?
I only listened to it once so far, and I listened to it like not streaming. Like I was on my Chromebook, so I didn't have like a media player on it, so I was just like listening to it like MP3 by MP3, which is the worst way ever to listen to an album. So I need to like actually listen to it like a real album one day.
I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, there's like a few songs on there that I could tell are hits, so that's good.
This is from George. Hey guys, digging the show so far, as well as the mixtape on YouTube. Hey, thanks. Speaking as someone whose knowledge of Japanese wrestling was limited to the WCW light heavyweight division and Stranglemania tapes I caught when I was younger, I appreciate the education on a lot of the stuff I missed out on. You're welcome. The Tiger Mask and Dynamite Kid match was particularly ill. I agree. My life as a wrestling fan was primarily WWF, WCW, and ECW back in the day, as well as the old Southern wrestling, and you guys probably hate it, although I'll defend how awesome the world-class Von Erich and Freebirds feuds were to the end of the day. Anyways, I dig listening every week to hear about the Japanese scene I missed out on, that I'm learning about more and more, and thanks to you guys, I appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Thanks, George. I appreciate you listening, and, we're trying to, like, find the balance between completely nerding out and, like, having, like, a casual listener tune in. So, the fact that you are listening, even though you're not really into JPN wrestling, is appreciated.
For sure.
The last email was from Ode, and, he writes in, the title of this email is Never Drew a Dime, literally. I know he's won a lot of championships. His dad did some stuff in the Territories era, and him cracking a guitar over some guy's head was pretty cool. But is it wrong of me to think that Jeff Jarrett is one of the corniest people ever? My only reaction now whenever I see him do anything is to think, oh dear God, make it stop. That, and probably it won't be long before the feds run up in the GFW offices and find out it's a front for drug running. I have a friend that's actually like a honest fan of Jeff Jarrett, and I never understood it, cause like, he does nothing exciting. He's pretty bad at everything he does, so everything you wrote in your email, Odai, I agree with, man. He sucks.
Yeah, I agree too. But yesterday at Raw, there was a bona fide babe in the crowd wearing a vintage Slapnuts t-shirt, and that was pretty sweet.
I'm gonna kind of ruin this for you. I think that Slapnut shirt is available on PWTs, so if you want to cop that. Sorry,
seriously?
Mike.
That
Yes.
same Slapnut shirt?
That same Slapnut shirt, I think, is on your favorite website, Pro Wrestling Tees. So if you want to go
that
cop
should be illegal. That, like, WCW owns that, so, and hence WWF owns it, so I'm gonna fucking report them so they get cease and desisted.
Well, I mean, they did the Eddie Guerrero shirt, right? Like, no problems. I mean, I figure they can
Yeah,
do the Slapnuts.
I don't know if that.
Who fucking knows?
Yeah, who knows? Fuckers.
Oh man, I feel really bad about crushing that whole idea of someone, a babe, like coming up on a vintage Slapnut shirt and just rocking it on Raw.
Yeah, I just assumed like her mom gave it to her or something, but no, it's just a new shirt. So that loser babe is probably a fan of Jeff Jarrett then.
Yeah, she was like really into the TNA run or something. I don't know. I can't explain it. So we're going to start off with Two-Man Scramble, and I have no topics this week, Mike. Do you?
Oh, I have a ton, so I don't know how much we're going to get through.
Let's run it.
Okay, first up is there was a girl that we follow on Twitter that I guess we don't follow anymore. She started a GoFundMe to she's going to Japan. She's not using the GoFundMe to go to Japan. She's already going to be in Japan, which is from the Midwest, probably like $1,000 round trip, maybe $1,200, and depending on when you get the tickets. So she's already got that. She's already got those tickets, but she needs our help to get her to a New Japan Pro Wrestling show. She only needs $800, and I'm thinking if we pull all our listeners together to chip in $1 or $2, we can send this girl to New Japan Pro Wrestling. And, achieve her dream of trying to get strangers to pay for her tickets to wrestling. The perks, if you will, include things like for $25, she'll follow you on Twitter. She has 200 followers. So I don't know who she's trying to fool as if that's some big shit. She's not like fucking, Taylor Swift or anything. I think for $50, she'll send you like a personal message, like a video message or something. It doesn't matter. This is just ridiculous. I don't think this woman listens to the show, but if you know this woman or, you've had ideas or thoughts about, having a GoFundMe to fund your trip, not even your trip to Japan, but just to fund more of your vacation while you're in Japan, you should go fuck yourself because people need GoFundMe for like real shit, like when their house is burned down or they have like emergency medical bills or their dog is about to die. So just because you want to have a fun time in Japan and you're a mildly attractive girl, you can't pull that off. So I know Al is still in love with you, but I just can't. That is just like, I needed to call you out for that, because that is some bullshit.
Honestly, I don't understand how you would need that much money to have one day of fun in Japan. Like, you can have $800 and have a week's worth of fun in Japan. I think she like explained why she needed that much money. She was like, well, I need to stay the night at a hotel. I need to use the Shinkansen to get there, and to buy merch, I think, was one of the reasons as well. And
you need merch.
You definitely need merch, and you need strangers to pay for it. I mean, you know, she was offering a service, dude. I mean, if you're willing to pay, I mean, you know, it props to your hustle.
She has since taken down the GoFundMe from her Twitter, as it amassed $0 since the last time I checked.
Hey, if you get that money, congrats. That'd be amazing. If you can get that much money just by like following people, fuck, we're in the wrong biz for real.
I don't think she's gonna get that much money.
Me neither. Okay. Sorry about it.
Next up, we do this show. If you haven't noticed, we do this show. We try to do it every other week. So some of this is old, but a couple weeks ago, there was a pay-per-view called Fastlane by WWE. And AJ Styles fought Chris Jericho at this pay-per-view. And AJ Styles did the Styles Clash, which was his finisher before. And Jericho kicked out of it, and a bunch of soggy diaper babies on the internet got really upset because this is AJ Styles' sacred move, the Styles Clash, that you cannot kick out. I think I said on this show, even before AJ Styles debuted, just to show how right I am all the time, I said there's no way he's going to be able to do the Styles Clash as his finisher, because he's too small, and you can't do that move to like the giant men of WWE. So I don't know why no one else could have figured this out, but it just made me feel so smart. Do you have any thoughts on this, Al?
When he kicked out of it, I was like, wow, he kicked out of it. I didn't fucking go into a nerd rage about it. And, you know, I'm on your same wavelength. Like, he's not going to be able to do the Styles Clash on Rusev. There's just no fucking way. I mean, AJ Styles looks like a fit dude, but that's not going to happen to Rusev. No way. So, I mean, for him, I think one of the things that they try to push as a wrestler in the WWE is to have a finisher that you can do on everybody. And, you can't do the Styles Clash on everybody. You can do the calf crush on everybody. But, you know, I wasn't mad at it, but I definitely saw the fallout of, Jericho kicking out. And, you know what, guys? Take a breath. It's okay, man. It's fucking fake fighting. It's cool.
It is fake fighting. Next up, I don't remember what this means because it's a note that just says used clothes Totocon. So I think this had to refer to my WrestleBay Makoto selling a ton of her used clothes on Totocon for, I think, $1 billion. I don't even know how it was a lot of money. It was like over 1,000, right?
It was like, yeah, I think 12. Anyway, it was like $1,000 in US dollars. Yes.
Yes, and it was sold out, by the way. Like some creep bought this. And I think what I was just getting at is like, how do the worlds align where you are a wrestling creep to the point where you want to buy used women's clothes, and B, you have enough money to pursue this hobby? It just seems like these two worlds would never collide, but they seem to collide all the time, and it's just crazy to me. Dude,
so like, related, Luke Gallows' wife, she sold her clothes on Totocon too for like $800, and that shit sold immediately as well. If you're wondering how creepo can have such a well-paying job, I don't know. I mean, being a creepo and having collectibles kind of go hand in hand. In terms of,
like, I watched this,
I don't know.
I watched this documentary called Akihabara Geeks, and it's like about that part of Japan and just like all of the kind of nerdy dudes and girls that live in that area. And like one of the people it follows around is this boy that's just like trying to save up enough money to buy like this $180 fuck pillow thing, like a love pillow. And so like I imagine like the only way these creeps could do it is they're just like, they have a fund, like much like our friends GoFundMe. They have like their own personal fund, like the used clothes fund, where they just like put in like a few dollars from their paycheck every week to or every month or whatever it is there to save up to get some wrestlers used panties someday.
You know, I'm a fan of the hypothetical questions. So Mike, what is the lowest amount of money you would pay for Makoto's Thrasher shirt that she posted on Instagram a couple minutes ago?
I don't know. I don't know if I can get down with used clothes. That's like such a sketchy thing to me. Unless I knew the person, even if I knew the person, it would be weird. Like if she was like, "Hey, Mike, you're pretty cool," and she gave me her shirt,
Yeah.
I'd be like, "That's cool." But
You'd be like, "That's
otherwise,
cool.
like,
I'm going to put this inside of my pillowcase later on, but I'm not going to tell you about it." Is that what you're saying, Mike?
no, I'm just saying that'd be cool. It would be like a friendship thing. But
Where she
yeah,
gives you her used clothes?
yes, I don't know. It's a different culture over there. It seems to be common for people to sell their clothes over there, which is super weird. But you know, that's just how they do it. Moving on.
No, as a callback, I went to Japan a couple years ago because I talk about this every fucking episode. And my friend Alvin and I ended up at a kind of sketchy store, and one of the floors was just used panties, and it was kind of humid in there too. And it was kind of the grossest 5 minutes of my life.
How are these set up? Were they on hangers?
Okay, so check this out. Like, you can get a pair of used panties, like with a Polaroid of the girl that wore them, like in a baggie for like 10 or $15. But then the grossest thing that I saw was like, they had like these like net hampers that had like a variety of panties, like 30 panties for like $60 or $70. I guess they were jobber panties or something. And, you can do that as well. You can get them in bulk, or you can like, you know, spend some extra dough and get that Polaroid and, the pair of panties from, I guess, I don't know.
Sawyer got some and brought them back, and they were like in like a tennis ball tube, basically.
Oh shit!
So those must have been the jobber panties. I don't know.
You might have got some jobber panties. No Polaroid of the chick.
No, it was just like a 3-pack of used panties, I believe.
Oh, okay. So like, I don't know. The discount version of the jobber panties pack, I guess. Cool, man. That's awesome.
Okay. Moving on. Another AJ Styles question. I asked this to you through text messages. AJ Styles posts a lot of fan art, or retweets a lot of fan art on his Twitter, but it is all completely horrible.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know if either he just has really bad taste in what he retweets, or if the only fan art he ever gets is completely horrible. Because I have never seen one good thing posted ever.
So I think I kind of hit it on the head the first time I replied, and I think like AJ Styles doesn't have like a very cool fan base, or as someone like maybe an Asuka, she has fans that like are on DeviantArt and like might have a tablet and can do like really cool shit with like Photoshop or Illustrator. Whereas I feel like people that are into making fan art for AJ Styles may not have these sorts of tools at their disposal. So I think it's part like demographic, and I think that's it. It's just all demographics, I suppose.
Yeah, I always look to see who made this art, and it's always somebody under 12 years old, or it is a person with developmental disabilities. So I don't know, AJ Styles. Maybe you could just start getting those real WWE fans soon. I don't know. Okay, moving on. This one is maybe a hot take. Maybe you won't agree with me, but I hope you agree with me, is that one of the people we follow on our Instagram, and you can find our Instagram at VRTLPros on Instagram. Just hit that follow button. Mm-hmm. We follow Hiroshi Tanahashi, who is a wrestler from New Japan. And I don't know if you feel this way, but his entire Instagram aesthetic is just a woman's Instagram aesthetic. Like, all the pictures he takes are like the same pictures a woman would take. And it's so weird, because like I'll be scrolling through and my brain is just like so wired to see like these certain styles of like female pictures on Instagram that I'm always like, who's this built girl? And then I'm like, oh wait, that's Tanahashi. Like, it'll always be like him in the gym, or like him at the sauna, or him trying on clothes. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that, but I've just never seen a dude with that kind of aesthetic on Instagram. So hats off to you, Tanahashi.
He definitely has these photos of like low vantage shots of his entire outfit. And, I never thought about it that deep. He definitely has an Instagram, where he's totally into himself. And that's fine. That's what Instagram is for. Like, if you're not flexing on Instagram, I don't know what you're doing, right? Is it a woman's Instagram? I mean, if he posts a salad on there, then yeah, confirmed. But other than that, like, I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird. He doesn't post any shots of him like wrestling. It's always like him in his outfits of the day. And, it's interesting to see, actually.
Yes. Last one. Well, no, this is the second to last. Wait, do we have time? Yeah, we can do two more. I was announced on Raw a couple weeks ago that Shane McMahon is back and he will be fighting The Undertaker. And you are going to WrestleMania. You were going to WrestleMania, and it's like 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks removed. Are you still excited about this silly match, Al?
I am excited for this match because I know there's going to be so many hijinks. Like, you're not excited about Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker?
I am excited that this WrestleMania is shaping up to be, it could be a giant disaster. Someone could super for real die at this WrestleMania. There are so many grandpas involved. Great grandpas even. They just keep getting older and older. And yeah, Shane McMahon is a ripe young 46. He's a young lion against Undertaker's veteran 56 years old. He came out on Raw last week. He could barely fucking walk because he's a 56-year-old man that's been wrestling for 30 years. That's 6'9". And yeah, it's going to be a great fucking match. Have fun, Al.
The thing is, two things. One, I know I'm going to get swerved. Do you know what's going to happen at WrestleMania 32 between these two?
What?
No, you don't. Exactly. Secondly, Shane McMahon is going to fucking dive off that HD screen, and it's going to be fucking awesome. So, are you asking if I'm excited? Genuinely, yes. It's going to be something to watch. You know, last year's WrestleMania, that build-up was awful, and you can't tell me that wasn't a top 3 WrestleMania of all time.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree, but I don't know. I don't know, man. It's like they're stacking the odds against themselves. I honestly thought they just made this match so John Cena could like save the day, but I don't know if that's actually happening or not.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking they'd use Shane as a placeholder for whether or not John Cena can recover and take enough HGH to come back. You take those Senzu
John Cena
beans.
does not do HGH. He is all natural.
I'm just kidding. Don't fucking sue me. But you know what? I mean, last year they had all their talent. This year they don't have all their talent. So, I'm really there for NXT, man. But WrestleMania should be like at least an entertaining show. As Wrestle Twitter calls it, it's not a work rate show. So there you go.
Last up, I heard through the grapevine, aka Twitter, that there was a match that took place somewhere in the world. I can't remember where. That was 105 minutes this weekend.
Yeah.
That was one wrestling match that was 105 minutes. And I don't know. I guess there was some uproar over this. I don't know if it was positive or negative uproar, but I can tell you I watch wrestling because no matches usually last over a half an hour, and that's pretty much my attention span. So I don't know, man. I would have fucking left if I was there. Like, no disrespect to these dudes doing this 105-minute thing, but anything over like a 60-minute Iron Man match is like you're just jerking yourself off at that point. Like, you were doing this just to like say you did it, and I don't know, like wrestling psychology only goes so far in my head, and doing something for over an hour and a half is will stretching it for me a little, unless they were just fucking knocked out for 20 minutes or something. But I don't know.
Just
what
like
do you think though?
Just like a 42-minute like figure 4 like was applied or some shit. You know, I see both sides. I haven't seen the match. It could have been amazing, but I'm gonna lean towards it being masturbatory for sure. I mean, one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time is at Dream Slam. I believe it was a Dream Slam. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match between Toyota and it's my favorite match. I can't even fucking name the wrestlers off the top of my head. It was Dynamite Kansai and Ozaki versus Manami Toyota and Toshio Yamada. And that match was like 47 minutes long. But that's 2 out of 3 falls.
That's 2 out of 3 falls, yeah.
You can see how that works, right? But 104 minutes, that's unbelievable. Like, I've seen the greatest matches under like 22 minutes. So I'm going to lean towards masturbatory for sure.
Yeah, I remember the last time I felt like I didn't fall for it, but I think it was either Chris Hero and Samoa Joe or CM Punk and Samoa Joe had like a super long match. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe if it's in the Egg Dome, I can watch like an hour-long match, but not in some fucking high school.
Well, do you even like the Iron Man match between Brett and Shawn?
It's okay. I think it's like a little too old. Like it's dated, and I mean, I liked it at the time. I know like the ending always gets me and I get super upset by it, but so I mean it still has me emotionally, so that's something. But yeah, I'm not too into Iron Man matches because it's like I don't know, like it seems like way too choreographed. Like I haven't seen like that Brett and Shawn one is like the only one that seems kind of spontaneous, I guess. I think Brock and Kurt Angle did one too that was really good on SmackDown of all places. But yeah, like outside of that, usually they don't really live up to it.
Hey, you want to hear a hot take? I think
what?
Bayley and Sasha Iron Man match is better than Brett and Shawn.
I don't know about that.
There you go. Up next.
Okay, well, that was it.
Up next, NXT and hip hop. Which rappers are which wrestlers, and vice versa. Stay tuned. By the way, don't tweet us about that hot take. I was kind of fucking around.
Okay, we're back here on Virtual Bros episode 11. We are going to talk about wrestler to hip hop rapper comparisons. This is something that kind of evolved over Twitter. We're talking, making comparisons of wrestlers to rappers, because a few episodes ago I said that one of the LaFon brothers or whatever, Phil LaFon, is the Black Thought of wrestling, because he might be good at what he does, but no one really cares.
I think you called Dan Crawford that. Oh, and shout out to Suplexes and Blunts. I don't think I shouted him out initially, but Suplexes and Blunts, we see you, man. Appreciate it. We see you.
So we decided that this could be not only a good main segment, but it could be a recurring main segment. So this episode, we are going to compare NXT wrestlers to their rap counterparts. And I'm a bit old, so some of them are kind of old. So I'm sorry if I don't have, fucking Father or Slug Christ on my list for you new jacks, but I have a sprinkling of old and new.
Let's go from like bottom of the card to the main event. I have the order right here if you want to go through there.
Okay, so what's your first one?
I'll start off with the Drifter, Elias Sampson. So I'll kind of explain my thought process so you guys don't think I'm completely crazy, and then go into the rapper I think they're, comparable to. So the Drifter, as we all know, he's kind of all gimmick. Having a guitar is not a compelling character. So I believe that the rap equivalent of the Drifter is Kid Ink, because Kid Ink is someone that just has tattoos and that's it. Like, he's not a good rapper. He's just a guy whose name is Kid Ink and he has a lot of tattoos, and that's fucking it. Whereas the Drifter, all he does is he just comes out with the guitar and he sings a little song, and I guess he wrestles, and nothing holds my attention. You can also like substitute Kid Ink for like Jaquan or Mims or any fucking flash of the pan rapper, and I think it totally works.
Yeah, I agree. I had a similar thought process. What I did was like I took the wrestler and then kind of decided like their persona in my head, and then paired that with a rapper. And I came to a similar conclusion, but I used an even more obscure reference. I said the Drifter, Elias Sampson, was Red Cafe, who was a mid-2000s New York rapper. And if you guys don't follow rap music, the mid-2000s for New York rap is the absolute worst era in the history of New York rap music. And so there was like a lot of guys. They're like, oh, you got to check out Papoose. You got to check out Uncle Murda. You got to check out Red Cafe. And they're all garbage. And Red Cafe was like one of the, like, people like fell for Papoose. They were like, oh yeah, he's going to have a career. But Red Cafe, like you heard his name and you're like, yeah. So basically in my mind, the Drifter is a guy that we're all going to have to deal with for a couple years, and then he's just going to fucking go away and everybody's going to forget about him, just like Red Cafe.
And not a bad comparison, but that Alphabet song that Papoose has is tight. You don't like that shit?
No.
He's just like saying like 50 P's. I don't know. It's fucking great. It's crazy. All right. Next up, I have Baron Corbin. So my thought process was like, he's kind of this guy that's being forced down our throats, as kind of like a top guy in wrestling. But he's not all that bad, and he's kind of salty. I guess that's his gimmick. So what I came up with was, Baron Corbin is 2 Chainz. You're like, usually, yeah, this guy's fucking verses are trash, but sometimes, like, he'll impress you every now and then, as evidenced by 2 Chainz' verse on, what's that fucking song? With Kanye off the Good album. Anyway, that was a good verse. And, I think they're kind of similar. It's just dudes that are kind of middling, but every now and then they sort of surprise you.
Yeah, I think that's a better comparison than what I came up with. I was telling Al off air, I had kind of a hard time with Baron Corbin. He's like the only one I didn't think of within like a couple minutes. But I went with Wale because no one really likes Baron Corbin and no one really likes Wale, but they seem to just still exist on some like higher plane where they're still like in the public eye somehow. And also Wale started out as a crunchy rapper, just like much like Baron Corbin started out as a football player. And they changed their gimmicks.
Wait, he's a crunchy rapper?
Yeah, he used to be a crunchy rapper.
What's a crunchy rapper?
Like a fucking, like, I mean, like Mos Def, but like a conscious rapper, basically. But like a little, you know, a little newer school. Because Wale, I think that his crunchy rap period was in like 2009. So
I've never heard that term.
Oh yeah, but yeah, like so they both have like different past backgrounds, and they're trying to live up this new gimmick. And yeah, I don't know. Like Baron Corbin is definitely better than he was a couple years ago or even a year ago, but I don't like the guy. Like he's I don't think he's ever gonna make it in WWE. Like he's too balding, and he's just like he's impressive in NXT because he's huge and he's always fighting these like midget indie guys, but like I don't think he's gonna be that impressive. He's just gonna be some dude in WWE, but I mean, I'll give it to him. He's improved, unlike Wale.
Listener Carr has described Baron Corbin's body as a sad, flabby face, and it always makes me laugh.
We went to NXT a couple weekends ago, me and listener Daniel.
Yeah.
And we snuck our way into some pretty good seats, and Daniel yelled at Baron Corbin to pick up his pants, and Baron Corbin pretended like he didn't hear Daniel, and then just subtly picked up his pants because they were falling down.
Up next, American Alpha, Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. This one was sort of tough to me because I was trying to find like a duo in rap or like a group in rap that, you know, it was 2 people and they kind of matched each other's vibes. I went with Method and Redman. I kind of think that Chad Gable is Method in this fucking comparison because he's kind of like that smooth technical guy that everyone really likes. And then Redman, even though I know people think he's like one of the best rappers ever, I can only tolerate him so much. So whenever he shows up, I get really pumped about it. But I'm never excited for a full Redman album. So that's the comparison I went with.
That's I could see that. Mine is somewhat similar. I also went with a rap duo, a little older though, but related to Redman and Method Man. I went with EPMD because they are definitely greater than the sums of their parts, and they have a unique style in their world that they're in right now. And EPMD definitely had a unique style when they came out. No one sounded like EPMD, and no one is doing like amateur Steiner Brothers wrestling in NXT right now. And I would say Jordan is definitely the Pear Smith, and Chad Gable is definitely the Eric Sermon, because once they break up, Chad Gable will have a slightly better career than Jason Jordan, but not much. Also, maybe Eric Sermon or maybe Chad Gable will try to rob Jason Jordan at some point, but then they'll make up later because they'll realize that without each other, they're just nothing. So they are EPMD in my eyes.
Dude, I kind of think Jason Jordan's going to be a big deal, though. But I kind of see that. I almost went MOP, but it was kind of unfair to say MOP because to this day, I still can't tell you which one is Lil Fame and which one is Billy Dan's, but I can definitely tell you which one is Gable and Jordan. Up next is Asuka. I was trying to think of someone who is definitely like having the best run of their career. Someone who's Asian influenced and someone who has like a definitive style. And Asuka is the 2000s Neptunes. We're going to remember Asuka as just being so innovative, and she's just going to be looked upon as very highly because, she just has this style that no one can replicate, like Pharrell and Chad, my idols. And, it's a good time to be an Asuka fan, I'll say.
I agree with that. I think that's a little too high praise, but my answer is super short. So before I say my answer, I'm just gonna say I was texting Al about this. I watched an Asuka versus Hikaru Shida or the Ass God match the other day, from a couple of years ago. And guys, I'm going to drop this on the mixtape one of these episodes, and your mind's going to be blown. Because I loved Asuka, but now I love her even more. But my answer for Asuka was Nicki Minaj, because she's good at what she does, and I want to have sex with her.
All right. Up next is Bailey. I was kind of thinking of someone who's non-threatening, but definitely someone who's like, universally praised by their respective communities. They don't have very hard images, even though they can still go in the ring.
We're going to go with the same one.
We're going to go with the same one, which is De La Soul.
No. Okay.
Oh, I went with De La Soul. I don't know a whole lot of hip hop fans that don't like De La Soul, and I don't know a lot of wrestling fans that don't like Bailey. These are two groups that you kind of root for. And they're not talking about fucking killing people and selling nicks. It's fine. But they can still, be rooted for, and they're still really good at their craft.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, I basically have the same reasoning Al does for his pick, but I went like one higher level. And so I went with Jean Grey because she is a woman rapper that is very good at what she does. And she is the one woman rapper that you can never mention her looks. And just like Bailey, you can't ever mention her looks either. So it's just like, and Jean Grey is not an unattractive woman. She just doesn't have like a sexual persona. So she's just like a woman rapper. No one's like, oh, I want to masturbate to Jean Grey. And unless you're a super creep, I don't think you want to masturbate to Bailey either. So, yeah, I think that's a amped comparison. Apt. Fuck.
This segment's like the best. Up next is Sami Zayn. My thought process was, who has had like two successful, like separate characters and is still like kind of beloved by nearly everybody. And, Sami Zayn, this is one of my favorite ones. Sami Zayn is Ice Cube. Like, El Generico was like someone who was just like doing fucking fisherman busters on the top rope to people and doing all kinds of really fucked up things to people. And he was, he had a very hard style of wrestling. Whereas now he's Sami Zayn, and whereas now Ice Cube is, in this G-rated movies. And, they're still universally liked. I think I like the old iteration a lot better, but I can still fuck with the fucking new iteration for sure.
I could see that. I went with, I've thought Sami Zayn, like you said, is very well liked. I did not play on the two gimmicks thing though. I think Sami Zayn is very well liked. I think he could work with anybody. No one hates him. And even his work with losers is super good. So I went with Danny Brown because no one hates Danny Brown. Any track he's on, no matter how much of a jobber the other rapper is, like Danny Brown's verse is always going to be great. So yeah, I think Danny Brown is a great comparison.
Up next is Samoa Joe. I thought of someone who was good, in the early 90s to 2000s, and is just kind of coasting around on their laurels, but they can still drop a gem every now and then. And Samoa Joe to me is Ghostface. Much like Samoa Joe's ROH and TNA career, they started off really hot and one of the best in the world, like Supreme Clientele and Iron Man. And 2016 versions of both of them, passable. They can still, impress me every now and then, but I think they're just kind of coasting on who they, used to be.
That's true. I gave Samoa Joe slightly more respect than that, I think. No, maybe not. No, this is actually way worse. I went with, I would say that Samoa Joe's best work is behind him, and he is comparable to somebody whose best work is behind them, but they had to wait like 15 years before they could perform in front of more than 300 people. So I went with Bun B because that's how Bun B's career went.
Hey, not bad.
It was a long time until Bun B actually got that mainstream fame. And so like I feel like Samoa Joe's definitely in his like Bun B's on every track in the mid 2000s part of his career where there's a bunch of people who are like, yeah, he's still really good, but I don't know. Like it's been so long. So I don't know.
Second to last here is Finn Balor, current NXT champion. I thought of someone who's like marketing and presentation, might be better than their actual abilities in what they do, as a profession. Their image is a lot more important than their craft. And I think that Finn Balor is Tupac. Tupac, not the best rapper, not the worst rapper, but I think Tupac is going to be remembered for things outside of rapping, like his persona, like his outlandish behavior. Whereas Finn Balor, sweet looking dude, he has cool merch, Yeah, but no one really talks about his in-ring work, I believe. Like I think of Tupac. No one really like thinks that he's a great rapper. And I don't really think anyone thinks that Finn Balor's a fantastic wrestler. He's fine. He's good. But he's okay.
See, that's where you're wrong, buddy, because I do think Finn Balor is a fantastic wrestler.
Nah.
Maybe not so. I mean, he's a little watered down in NXT, but I think I do think he's a fantastic wrestler. I think he's amazing at everything he does. So I went with somebody who I think is amazing at everything they do. But at the same time, they're never like, even though they're on the tip of everybody's tongues, they never had that mainstream fame. And Finn Balor seems to be like being held hostage by NXT right now. Like, I don't think he's ever going to go to WWE. And so he's never going to have like that big time fame, but he'll always be like the hip choice because he has like the hip merch. Like, so I went with Pusha T because Pusha T has been on that plane for so long now where he's well known, but he never made that well known money.
I can mess with that, actually. I'm with that. I still think he's Tupac, and I think he'll end up as Tupac, but whatever. Last but not least, the newest signee of NXT, Shinsuke Nakamura. I thought of someone that started off as like, he was like kind of pushed as a main guy, and you never really saw it, and then he kind of just flipped his whole character like 180, and he became a megastar. Shinsuke Nakamura is Cameron.
That's who I picked too. I knew we were going to have the same one. I picked Cam too.
So you heard Cameron on a horse and carriage and you're like, all right, he can rap. And then you heard the cosigns by Big E that he's next up. Like New Japan thought Shinsuke was next up and he got pushed into a position where like naturally he didn't really fit, I believe. And then he started wearing that pink and then he started fucking with jewels and then he started rapping over like, soul samples. Nakamura, he jacked Michael Jackson's whole shit. And now he's the best in the world. Like Cameron at one time was the best in the world. Will he fall off like Cameron? I don't know. But as of now, 2016, he's the best in the world like Cameron was the best in the world in 2002.
Yeah, I completely agree. I would just add that him signing to WWE is like when Cam signed the Rockefeller Records. So we are going to see which way Nakamura goes. Hopefully he doesn't end up on mixtapes with Vado super soon. Hopefully he's riding out that success for a little while. That
NXT match with Sami Zayn is going to be oh boy, I promise.
Yeah.
Up next, VRTL Pros the Mixtape. Stay tuned.
Fight them feelings, yeah, yeah. Just hide it all beneath me, yeah, yeah. Ain't no life without you in it, black and white, no color in it. You look at me like you see me. Inhale me in, baby, just breathe. Fucking me so goddamn deep. Then we lock in arms until we sleeping. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It wasn't what I thought, baby. No, it wasn't what I wanted. Yeah, I thought we'd have forever. You just want me till the morning, yeah, yeah. You just want me till the morning, yeah, yeah, yeah. You just want me till the morning. 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 Yeah, yeah, yeah. You just want me till the morning. You just want me till the morning.
And welcome back to Virtual Pros. Our last segment, as always, is the Virtual Pros Mixtape. You can hit that playlist at bit.ly/VRTLMIXTAPE. All one word, all one URL. Check it out.
And VRTLM are caps.
Oh, it matters?
I think it matters. I'm pretty sure it does.
Fuck. Man, you're making it complicated. That's all good. So this week's episode, we have some pretty weird gems, like before they were stars type shit. Our first match that we're going to cover tonight is between Sasha Banks and Barbie. This was from WrestleJam 8, 2014. I think WrestleJam is the name of the promotion, which is kind of weird, but whatever.
Legendary WrestleJam.
The legendary WrestleJam. So I don't watch indies at all. So every time I watch one, it's always jarring to see how bad the production values are. And I always wonder how indies actually make money. You look at the amount of people that are in the stands and you're probably going to charge 10 or 15. along with paying talent, like, I don't know where the end game is, like, financially. Like, there's no way you're not making more than, like, $100. To get off that rant, this promotion's website is on Tripod, which I'm already not fucking with. Like, they couldn't go on, like, Angel Fire or, like, even make a domain. So that's kind of crazy. Mike and I have, like, covered, like, some really, like, awesome pre-match angles, like from Jushin Liger kicking over Vader's mask to Akira Hokuto just talking that shit on the mic after elbowing someone in the face. But this might be my new favorite pre-angle that was filmed here. Barbie, she gets on that mic, and she says, "I think you should make sure that there's nothing in her bra," alluding to Sasha. And someone in the crowd yells, "Hey ref, check her butt." And you can hear this stuff all clearly because there's only like 10 people in the crowd. One of my notes was that Sasha kind of has this way, like still to this day, of going like full ragdoll when she sells, and it looks really good. When she gets thrown around, she just like fucking just lets herself go. And when she hits a suicide dive, it looks really good as well. My favorite part of the match is like this heckler in the crowd. He's like yelling at Barbie at her pinning technique, and he's like yelling like, "That shit doesn't work." And Barbie like kind of just stops in her tracks, and she's like, "Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Why don't you get married?" And the fan responds with, "You shut up. Yeah, why don't I get married?" And like you can just kind of hear like the utter sadness that like is going through his body when he like realizes that he's not ever going to get married. So that's really like probably top 5 like moments in VRTL Pro's history. There's a kick exchange here that if Meiko Satomura watched it, she would be ashamed at how soft these kicks are. Other than that, like you can see that Sasha Banks, like I can see why NXT signed her, because she definitely has some tools in her fucking like repertoire, and she's only gotten better, but in this match she's actually pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, this match was pretty good. I didn't look over the WrestleJam website beforehand, but now I'm looking at it. This is a pretty good card altogether. Our friend on Twitter, Grant Akuma, was on this card. So maybe if he listens to this episode, he'll have some insight for us. But yeah, this is like just like very very known indie guys on this Northeast indie guys on this card. But I don't know who the fuck Barbie is. Usually these women wrestlers, like, they stick around. Like even for a person like me who doesn't really follow it, like, it's always usually the same handful. So you know them, at least you know their names. But this is, not only is Barbie a bad ring name, but it is the worst ring name for this woman who looks nothing like a Barbie. And I just feel like that's very lazy, and she should have thought of something way better. But hey, what are you gonna do? Maybe her real name is Barbie, and I'm being the asshole right now.
You can't even Google that. That's a poor choice of fucking name for sure.
Yeah. She wasn't thinking about her career. She's probably getting off of her shift at Pep Boys right now, watching WrestleJam 8, being like, that should have been me in NXT. But no, I had to go with fucking Barbie. My name was Barbie. And now I'm stuck here at Pep Boys for the rest of my life.
Hey, what's a better name? Like, if you were like to come up to a girl and like she was like, hey, my name is Barbie, or hey, my name is Mercedes, which one are you fucking with more?
Oh, of course, Mercedes.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't understand the KV part. Do you know what that's about?
I think those are like her like legit last name initials.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Okay, next up, there's a lot of humanity in this crowd. There's a lot of interesting looking fellows in this crowd that are definitely not getting married. And that's something. As soon as this match begins, they fall out of the ring, which is pretty great. It looks so, they fall out of the ring and try to make it like they did it on purpose, but then they just run right back into the ring to make it look like they definitely didn't do it on purpose. And they should have made up their minds. But outside of that, this match is super stiff for two ladies working in a high school gym in front of maybe 80 people. Sasha Banks is very indie-rific in this match, just doing like insane moves as soon as the bell rings, and then winning with a kick. Like, it's just like, I don't know. This is a very indie-rific match. It's amazing, like how much, I'll get into it in one of my next match too, but it's amazing like how much WWE has changed her into like, you know, an actual main event wrestler. But no, I thought this match was super enjoyable. She does like that crazy suicide dive out of the ring. Like, there's a lot of crazy spots in this, and I assume not a lot of people have seen WrestleJam 8, Sasha Banks versus Barbie. So I would say it's definitely worth checking out. Okay. So this week what I try to do is I try to pick matches from promotions that I used to be super into and then kind of just got out of and don't really think about anymore. And so my first match is from Chikara, which is something that I used to watch for years. And I just like, I don't know. It's not the same anymore. It's not like they don't have the talent they used to. It's just kind of got like old and stale for me. So unfortunately, but in 2008 is when they were hot. They were fucking super hot, red hot, I would say. And they had a match of another Before They Were Stars of Claudio Castagnoli, aka Cesaro, versus Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper. And they had a cage match. This was their first cage match in Chikara. As their only cage match in Chikara. They never did it again. And this was like the ultimate grudge match because they had a feud for being the only people in Chikara the size of actual normal real pro wrestlers. So they had a face off to see who was the realest pro wrestler. Yeah, they're like literally twice as big as everybody else in Chikara. This is the most brokest ass cage I've ever seen, but I will give them credit because they were like literally like a year or two before this. Chikara was having wrestling matches in like one of those rings like your friends make in your backyard, like just like a foot off the ground, like covered in like some weird tarp. So, you know, they came a long way in like a short amount of time. So as broke as this cage is, it's still a cage. I kind of also just wanted to watch this match again, just because I wanted an excuse to watch it again, and to see how well these guys have how well these guys have come along since the glory days of 2008. And I will say, yes, Cesaro has improved so much since these days. He's still great here, but it's amazing like how polished WWE has made him. There's a part where and these guys are slightly smaller than they are now because they don't have those WWE vitamins, but like, there's a part where, Cesaro, press slams Luke Harper into the cage. Like, he press slams and gorilla press and throws him into the cage. And it is an amazing feat of strength. So Cesaro is still impressing back then. There's a brief cameo by Larry Sweeney, rest in peace. He's a very tragic story. Outside of that, not to spoil it, but this match ends with Cesaro getting on top of the cage and doing his spinning European uppercut from the top of the cage onto Brody Lee, and is pretty amazing. And I forgot how cool the Ricola Bomb was, and because he does not do that at all anymore, and it's kind of a shame. But yeah, this was a good match. I can't remember if this was like the best in their series, but I think it's definitely worth checking out.
I thought the match was pretty good as well. Some of my notes were that this YouTube clip, I don't know who introed this match, but I hate how this guy sounds, and I wrote down the voice of a fedora. I don't know why I wrote that down, but that's
Ultramantis Black.
Well, he sounds like the voice of Fedora, so there you go.
I think he does it on purpose. I don't think that is his real voice.
Yeah, if you ever like go to a comic book shop, this is how this dude sounds. I don't know if that's for real, his like real voice, but it's fucking aggravating. I had a question for you. So Luke Harper, aka Brody Lee. I'm not on Chikara, so fill me in. Is Brody Lee like an inside joke about how he sort of looks like Jason Lee? From like Kevin Smith fame? Like Brody from like Mallrats, and then, Jason. That's my thought, because he looks like a really buff Jason Lee.
You're probably right.
Those guys look
you're probably right.
They look exactly the same. So that was one of my notes. I noticed that the crowd was like awfully quiet, and I kind of came to the conclusion that they were quiet because like they were probably doing like mathematical formulas on how many like stars to give this match. Yeah, I also had that gorilla press slam in the cage was fucking remarkable, and that if this match happened on Raw, it would be like an instant match of the year candidate.
For sure.
One of the matches I picked is I try to switch it up by not picking pro. So, congratulate me later if you see me. This match is from 1986, and it is between Abdul the Butcher and Bruiser Brody. As like kind of rule of thumb, I don't really fuck with like wrestling that's before my date of birth. I kind of just have like these preconceived notions in my mind. Like, I bought that Best of Ric Flair DVD back in the day, and like I lasted like 4 minutes. Like, wrestling that old is so boring to me. Like, this was like in 2004, whenever this DVD came out, and like I was into fucking battle arts. All I wanted to see was fucking flying arm bars and dives and fake MMA, and this was just not doing it for me. So, you know, full disclosure, this is like my second or third Bruiser Brody match I've ever seen.
So wait, how did you pick this match then? Were you just looking for something to pick that was old?
I was looking for something that I wasn't like totally familiar with. I think going back to George's email, he was like, you know, Southern shit is the best. And, you know, I'm ignorant of that entire era just cause, you know, it's before my time. And from what I've seen, it's just so boring. There's things that like you can appreciate as you get older, like Disneyland. So one of my biggest takeaways is that like I fucking love these crowds. They're like totally invested into the match and they're not like chanting dumb shit. And like, they're losing their minds to everything that these wrestlers are doing, which is like nothing, you know, that doesn't happen anymore. A lot of this match though was like a lot of kick and punch offense until Abdullah like pulls out a fork and you just see like grown adults like screaming and losing their minds and like pointing out the fork like to the referee like he's gonna acknowledge them. They're like, I don't know, I think they're gonna almost like bum rush the referee, like letting them know that, hey, Abdullah's cheating. Later on, like Fritz von Erich, I'm not sure what the rub is between Fritz von Erich and Gary Hart, but it looks cool. He chokes Fritz out with a hanger, and that's so cool. Like I've never even seen that. That's fucking amazing. And you know, Bruiser Brody, he's known as like one of the most legendary wrestlers of our professional wrestling. I never got into him, but I could see why. Like he looks very dangerous. He has this gross forehead, and he has those very furry boots. Like, this guy is kind of like pro wrestling personified, and I sort of get it. So, you know, full disclosure, I'm late on the bus, but Bruiser Brody, he's a pretty good wrestler.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I had ever seen this match before this. I don't really get down with too much old wrestling either. But I can always appreciate when I see it, especially stuff like this, because it's like Al said, the crowd is fucking going nuts over this because they think it's real. So it's like, you know, you see like this, like, the first thing I ever saw, the first wrestling I ever went to, Kamala fought at it. This was not WWF. This was in some fucking gym. And like, Kamala was there. And so this dude comes out, this fucking black dude with his crazy makeup on. And I was fucking scared shitless because I was like 5. So like, you know, these fucking, I mean, not to stereotype them, but they're from the Texas area. These yokels, they see this scary exotic black man who they don't think is black. They think he's from the Sudan. Yeah. Squaring off against this other giant man, and they're just fucking losing their minds. I actually didn't have many notes on this because, yeah, this is basically like a brawl. They don't really have to do much to get the crowd hot because they're just going to go nuts no matter what it is. The only note I actually had is that I didn't check it, but I can almost guarantee you that Fritz von Erich is as old as The Undertaker in this video. And, that is who you're going to see at WrestleMania. Old ass Fritz von Erich, that fucking hanger, with his polo shirt on and his bear gut. That is basically an Undertaker. So
there's other matches on that card, man. Fucking, you don't think Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose are gonna just kill it? You're crazy.
I do have a feeling Dean Ambrose is gonna pull off the upset on that thing. Because I think they are secretly building up to Dean Ambrose main event champion, and they just want to subtly do it so they could be like, we knew all along. But that's my WWE conspiracy theory at the moment.
I mean, you are the fucking son of Meltzer, the second generation Meltzer. So, you know, yes. Are you just, you know, dropping dimes? I thought that they would just turn Reigns heel and then you can do a fucking Seth Rollins SummerSlam comeback and you just do that role reversal, but whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay, so my last match. So basically, like I said, I was trying to look for stuff that I'm not into anymore, and I really, really wanted to find something from Battle Arts because last week we had to do a second take, and we talked about Battle Arts for a minute and how it's this weird thing that like no one really talks about anymore, even though it was like fucking super hot in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And it's weird because there isn't much on YouTube, there isn't much on the shady streaming, so like I couldn't find anything I was super into. There was like 2 matches, and I wanted to find something with either Minoru Tanaka or Alexander Otsuka, but I couldn't find like any good Battle Arts with them in it. So I was like, what else did I used to really like that I don't watch anymore? And then I remembered that Tomoaki Honma and Ryuji Yamakawa had like all of these crazy, like very psychological death matches in Big Japan in the late 90s and early 2000s, which are also not on YouTube. But took me down a hole where I was like, man, I forgot how many cool fucking death matches Big Japan had. So I just randomly chose the Bug Zapper death match, between Ryuji Yamakawa and Shoji Nakamaki, another veteran from Stranglemania, versus Tarzan Goto and Matsunaga, who now owns a steakhouse. And these are all very famous deathmatch wrestlers. Like I said, this is a bug zapper deathmatch. Basically, there are boards with barbed wire and bug zappers affixed to them in all corners, and then I think there's a couple outside. Goto comes out to the Flash Gordon theme, and that's the coolest fucking thing ever. I'm sure he always did, but I just never noticed it before. One of his young boys is a jacked bro in a homemade FMW t-shirt, which I gotta see if I can find that somewhere. But yeah, I mean, overall, this is just like, you know, a brawly punch and hit people with sharp shit deathmatch. But the reason why I realized like how much I was so into these and like how so little I'm into like CZW and Deep South stuff when it comes to deathmatches is like, it's just the ambiance and the crowd. And like these dudes, like even Nakamaki and Yamakawa are dressed like fucking morons for all intents and purposes. They still look like pro wrestlers. And Tarzan Goto looks like a pro wrestler. Matsunaga looks like a pro wrestler. They're in a real pro wrestling ring. There's like a real crowd that's going nuts. There's flash bulbs. So like this deathmatch stuff looks like very artistic as compared to like doing it in a field somewhere with just like a bunch of dudes in fucking t-shirts and gym shorts. Like it doesn't look cool. It just looks like weird and creepy. But this, like, it looks like art, especially when they light up those fluorescent bug zappers, and it's just like that's the only glow in the arena. That and flash bulbs going off. It's like a really intense image. There is one part where Yamakawa, who is not the best wrestler, but he is a pretty good wrestler for being a deathmatch wrestler. Not in this match so much, but there's a part where he attempts like he's going to do an acai moonsault, and he like he jumps out of the second rope, and he's like, ah. He's like,
I'm good.
I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm just going to do a regular crossbody instead. And
yeah, he kind of hits like this
good
Terry Funk moonsault. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Outside of that, him and Nagamaki are wearing matching shirts that say like the Chamorro brothers or something on the back. I think it's supposed to be like the Asian Mario brothers. Like I don't fucking know, but
no. So
I want to find.
Chamorro is like Guam, and like they are not Guamanian. So I was also super confused by why they were saying they were Chamorro brothers.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I need to get a hold of those shirts too. But yeah, man, this got me super pumped. I don't think I'm going to include them in like the mixtapes or anything, but I'm going to go back and watch all these death matches, because back in the day, like you would just read the lists and be like, what is the coolest deathmatch title that I could pick? And so like you would have to like wait 2 weeks to watch them, but now I can just bang them all out in like a day. So yeah, I was really glad I chose this. And even though like it's not even that long, because like the last 5 minutes is some weird shit, like people brawling that aren't even the match. It's weird, but overall, I'd definitely say check this out. It is not like super gory, so even if you're a baby, you can watch this.
Well, to be fair, you might not think it's gory because they're wrestling literally like next to 4 like night lights. So I mean, they could have been bleeding for all we know, but we just couldn't see it. Some of my notes were that I literally have not thought about Shoji Nakamaki since like 1998 when I first got my King of the Deathmatch tapes. Matsunaga kind of looks like Japanese Al Borland, and it's still kind of a goal to go to a steakhouse. Was this like an interpromotional match? I didn't understand why there were just like a ton of FMW signs at Korakuen.
Yeah, I think it was FMW or something, because I don't know, because Nakamaki was IWA, Yamakawa was Big Japan, Matsunaga was.
I always thought Matsunaga was a Big Japan guy too, but I think he might have fucked with FMW. And Tarzan Goto was FMW, like I think for a little bit, because I know him and Onita fucking wrestled.
So they must have did some kind of like invasion thing or something.
Other than that, like this is kind of different than that Megumi Kudo Combat Toyota match that we covered last week or 2 weeks ago. Whereas like, these teases were like, I mean, you're just waiting for someone to go into the bug zappers, right? And like, the effect of these bug zappers, like, is not as effective as you would think. They kind of zap a little bit. There's no like crazy explosion. But you know, it's a brawl. If you like this kind of shit, you know, check it out, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I will say this is like one of the duds as far as like the violence goes.
Yeah.
They were just like, back then, Big Japan was just like, we're going to do this. And like, I don't think they plotted it out. They were just like, we're going to put these things together. We're going to see what happens. There's another match that I didn't include that's like the lights out death match where they do it and like, there's like a carnival in the background. So it's kind of like a Street Fighter match, basically. Like if they had a wrestling match in the world of Street Fighter. So I don't know. Maybe I will include another one of these on the mixtape in the future. But yeah, that's it.
That was Virtual Pros episode 11. You know, as always, please follow us on Twitter if you haven't at VRTL Pros. Follow our Instagram at the same title, VRTL Pros. Hit us up on SoundCloud. Hit that heart. I know you guys can do it. I've seen 3 people do it and it made me really, really excited. Hit us up on iTunes at subscribe, and you can always email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. Anything else, Mike?
Nope.
All right. That'll be it. Episode 11 in the books. Peace.